What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be showcasing how to complete the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon on Ultimatum difficulty within the Rite of the Nine event. This guide is going to go over the mechanics as a refresher, but we're mainly going to be focusing on the tips and the loadouts you can use to be as effective as possible to nuke these dungeon bosses for the duration of the Rite of the Nine. So hopefully you can earn those juicy Adept dungeon drops. And so, let's get started. Now, first things first, before you begin your run, make sure to head over to the Emissary and pick up the 2 new quests for guaranteed holofoil weapons from this dungeon. Oh, and by the way, apparently there's a glitch where you can grab the quests on every single character, and then when you complete them on one character, it auto-completes for the other ones. So instead of getting 1 holofoil like I did, you can get 3 holofoil rewards for each of the weapons for these quests. Yeah, so do that. Alright, now as for the first encounter, you are going to begin in this very open area, guys. You can actually whip out your Sparrow or other vehicle of choice. Remember, if you did earn the Griffin, you can have a vehicle with guns for the duration of this encounter, but you're going to head to this kind of middle area here, kill the ads around, and then there's going to be a glowing ogre that spawns. And when you kill this ogre, you're going to see like green blotches on the ground, as you can see, and these will lead off in the direction you need to head. So follow them, and then eventually you will see a glowing hive symbol in the air, and enemies will spawn when you get close. You kill these enemies, and then you will see more of those green blotches in the direction you're supposed to head once again. So you're going to find another hive symbol, more enemies are going to spawn, kill them, and then you will have one more set of blotches heading off in a different direction. Head in that direction, and finally on the 3rd symbol, guys, you are going to get a Lucent hive that is going to spawn. So make sure to kill that guy, get the finisher, and then whoever gets the finisher will actually have a buff that appears in the top center of their screen. It's called Vestige of Light. Now, when someone has this, you head back to that middle area. There's going to be ads here. You clear them out, and then when all the ads are cleared out, you will see hive symbols spawn on all of these statues around the circle here. Now, you are then going to, with your Vestige of Light, activate the statue that has the symbol that you just did 3 locations for. So whatever the symbol you were heading towards, that's what you need to interact with on the statue. As long as it's matching, then you're going to have another glowing ogre spawn, and you do that exact same thing again, and then you do it one more time. So 3 different rotations of heading off, following the blotches, and finding the 3 different like hive symbol areas before heading back and depositing your Vestige of Light on the correct statue, guys. This encounter is all about ad clearing, so throwing on a solid machine gun, you know, whipping out one of the destabilizing rounds, machine guns you have. Great idea for this encounter. But moving on from there, we have the most brutal traversal section in any piece of Destiny 2 content ever, quite frankly, because you are going to, first of all, head in the direction you see me go. I'm just going to, you know, play it sped up in the background so you can see exactly where you're supposed to go. If it's been a while since you've done this dungeon, which for a lot of us, it certainly has. But then you will eventually get to this area here where you are heading underwater, guys. So when you go underwater, on the bottom left corner of your screen, you will have a pressure resistance and a bar that will slowly deplete. When it depletes entirely, you will take damage, and eventually, and very quickly, you will die. So to avoid this, you need to go and walk over these bubbles that are kind of all over the place. Now, the most important thing to remember here is that if you're solo, just walk over the bubbles, you're fine. But if you're with a team, you actually need to time, in many instances, walking over these bubbles together. So when you go over a bubble, it will have like an area of effect, and anyone nearby will have their pressure resistance increased. So again, like if there's two people up front, don't grab the bubble. If the third guy is like lagging behind, he'll miss out on the bubble, he will die, and you do have revive tokens throughout this entire traversal section, so you're kind of screwed if someone does die. It's pretty brutal. Now, keeping all of that in mind, you can see the direction you're supposed to head in the background gameplay. Eventually, guys, when you get to this part right here where you're kind of on the ocean floor, you can actually run over and go to the left. If you do, you actually have your first secret chest located right here. And then you have a bunch of enemies you need to kill before progressing. Now, as you head through here, you really want to time it with your teammates, or else, you know, people are going to die and you are going to wipe. Like in these last final sections of the traversal, like everyone needs to get all the bubbles or they will die if they miss one. Now, after that, guys, you will eventually get to this section here. And on Ultimatum mode, this section has been updated. So you want to kill all of these different ads, and eventually it will actually spawn a boss, Khalil the Rune Master. And this guy is going to be a Lucent Hive, so you got to watch out for his super. He is very tanky, as you can see. We were just using what we had available, quite frankly. Honestly, what we were using with being able to put down a Storm's Keep barricade, and you can see I'm using the Monarch. This was very effective against this guy, but really any DPS weapons are going to do here. He's not incredibly hard to defeat, but when you do defeat him, grab that finisher, and then as you can see, it will actually spawn a chest. Now, this chest is more akin to like a secret chest, but again, that means that this encounter has been updated. It's now counting as like kind of a proper encounter. If you do the original Ghost of the Deep, you get nothing for this section, but there's also not this Ruin Master boss, guys. But after you defeat that guy, you're going to want to keep heading forward, and then we go underwater yet again. Try to time this one. In this case, you definitely don't want to bump your teammates as they're jumping. Don't ask me why. But then, guys, you are going to head the direction you see me head in the background gameplay, and eventually you're going to get all the way through the ship here, through a bunch of corridors, back underwater. So we head a little bit more forward underwater, but importantly, when you get to this section, you can see the boss is chasing you. So you are going to have to use the rocks kind of as cover, potentially to bait the boss around one side, head over to the other side. You're a little bit faster than the boss, and again, you can get up on places he can't get up potentially, but you want to make a mad dash for this particular underwater man cannon thing right here that's going to push you up and out of the water. So again, just avoid the boss, try to head for that area to get up to the second encounter, or I guess third encounter if they're making that last encounter an actual encounter. Anyways, guys, here we have our first boss fight. So upon starting this encounter, everyone is going to run forward and start killing ads. There's going to be 3 mini-boss knights you need to kill, and then that is going to spawn an ogre. Now, once you kill the ogre, then you're going to have to split up your team. 2 people will remain ad clearers, and the ads spawn infinitely, by the way, and 1 other person needs to peel off and head underwater to find particular hive ruins. Now, before they do that, they need to go and activate a deep site that has spawned in the middle of the arena near where you rallied to the flag after killing the ogre. So you need to kill the ogre to spawn that deep site activation. But once you activate that, the person who does that is going to look up to the left and then to the right on the walls. There's going to be these big metallic things right here. You can see in this image what they look like, and there's going to be those hive runic symbols displayed on them. There's going to be 3 in total. Once that person takes note of which 3 they need, they jump underwater, and then the boss is going to be following them once more, similar to before you got to this encounter. So they need to go around underwater, staying alive by picking up those bubbles, and activate all 3 of the correct ruins they saw on the walls. Now, thankfully, I have an awesome image for you guys right here, made by Priani, and this is going to show you a map of the underwater section. So you can just have a quick glance at this and see where you need to go for the 3 symbols you have. It also shows the bubble locations as well, and where to go back up into the main encounter area. So while this person is going around underwater and activating the correct hive ruins, the other 2 people are again ad clearing, but for every single correct ruin that is activated underwater, a Lucent Hive wizard is going to spawn. Now, when the ad clearers kill this wizard and get the finisher, obviously, then they will have that vestige of light buff appear on the top of their screen. At this point, you need to deposit into one of these 3 statues, and you can see the statue deposit locations on that same map, guys, but it does not matter where you deposit, right? But once all 3 locations have been deposited on, which means the person underwater has activated the correct 3 ruins, 3 hive Lucent wizards have spawned, they've all 3 been killed, and every time they're killed, the person deposits in a different one of these statues. Then when all 3 statues are done, you have the DPS phase. So going to DPS, it's a little bit weird, guys. So the first thing you're going to see is a new ad spawn right here, like a knight right here. You need to kill this knight as quickly as possible. He is going to then drop that green goop. You need to stand in the green goop, and then you need to do some damage to the actual boss. That will lower his immunity shield and make him actually available for damage. Now, once that immunity shield comes off initially, guys, then you don't have to stand in the green goop anymore. You can damage him from anywhere. So the strategy my team used was that we threw a healing grenade. So in this encounter, in fact, throughout every encounter in the game, a Speaker's Sight Warlock, healing Warlock with those fantastic healing grenades is super, super valuable. So we would again just kill that knight, and in the green goop, we would do a little bit of damage to the boss to lower that immunity shield. Then, now when he's available to damage, we would run up and place a well right on the boss. Now, be very careful. The boss is, like, technically a Lucent knight, so he does have suppressor grenades. So if your warlock gets suppressed and can't put their well down, yeah, it gets pretty problematic. Now, what should you use to DPS? Well, as you can see right here, we tried to use the Lord of Wolves, but we didn't really get good results because this boss is just running around everywhere. It's kind of hard to get the crits on the head when he's turning around and activating his super and doing all this crazy stuff. We definitely didn't get bad damage, but we felt we could do better. What we ended up getting the kill with, actually quite easily, was swords, guys. As you can see right here, like, we got a massive chunk of health, and in fact, when we did the second damage phase, we, like, easily could have actually 2-phased this guy. Like, if we had things a little bit better, I think our hunter wasn't even using weakening smoke bombs, for example, so I really think you could get a 2-phase with swords. Swords are also just so easy to damage this guy because they will lock on. So the boss is running around, but whatever, your sword is locking on to the boss, and so it's easy to always guarantee those hits. Now, as for what sword, guys, I was using this like mega damage falling guillotine, so I had a Vorpal weapon in the left, and then I also had Whirlwind Blade, so the double damage perks are performing fantastically. But really, there's a ton of powerful swords in the game that you could utilize here. And now, there is the problem of the boss will walk outside of the well randomly, and that's where those Speaker's Sight healing grenades come into play. Also, don't forget to put down those Storm's Keep rally barricades. Even with a sword, as you can see, I get one off here, and you can definitely get some lightning activation from that. Now, A couple of other suggestions, guys, if you don't want to use swords. I've heard that the Winterbite Glaive is quite good, and that's because we actually, not only does this thing do a ton of damage, it can get some crazy shatter damage and stuff like that, but we have glaive-specific seasonal artifact perks, as you can see right here. We even have this one that will boost the damage if you get a block. So you get like a quick block, and then you will boost the damage of your glaive, guys. And if you are using melee weapons, don't forget you do have access to stuff like Banner of War, as well as Syntheseps that can boost your melee weapon damage even more so. Another possibility here that you might want to try out is going to be the original like DPS one-phase king for this, and that is the Legend of Acreus, especially if you do have the catalyst that gives it Trench Barrel. That could be performing quite well. Basically, you want stuff that you can DPS with right up close and personal. This boss will walk right into your grill sometimes, and sometimes he won't, which is why we brought the well to him. It's very erratic behavior, it's hard to predict, and that's why, again, we ended up going with swords, because you just swang and you don't really have to worry about much else, guys. But moving on from there, we have another pretty big traversal section, not quite as big as the first one, but you are going to need to head underwater. Yet again, guys, and head through the ship until you reach this area here, and then you're going to have some pretty big shriekers you will have to deal with. So for me, it was just as easy as standing behind a Storm's Keep barrier and utilizing that La Monarch. A lot of wizards as well. Now, after you fight your way through this area, I do want to mention that on top of this roof right here, we have another secret chest, so don't forget to grab that. But then you're going to head under here, and we get to the final boss fight, guys. So for this encounter, here's what you need to do. To start it, you actually go forward and get a finisher on this ghost right here, this Lucent Hive ghost. Then you're gonna have a bunch of enemies spawn here, guys. And what you need to do is slowly, kill ads and be able to work your way to the center of the arena and grab a deep sight activation right here. That is going to reveal the 3 locations on, dead Oryx's body that you need. So you might have like one of his arms or legs or his chest is glowing, and it'll be a line that connects these areas, as you can see in the background gameplay. Now, the problem, guys, is getting to the deep sight while this boss, this big wizard, is floating in the air and absolutely nuking you. I would highly recommend putting on double arc damage resistance for this encounter. Not only do you have the wizard using arc, but you also have other enemies using arc, and there's a ton of arc moths in this encounter as well. So being able to resist all of that stuff is very important. Now, you've gotten the deep sight activation, you see the 3 locations you need. The next thing is to stand within these 3 locations, and when you're standing within the green like circles that you can see here, like within the green area, then you want to be killing these boss knights. As long as you kill the knights as you're standing inside the green circle of the correct 3 areas that was shown from the deep sight, then when you kill the knight, you're going to see a symbol appear and a kind of weird circle. You actually need to go and visually line up the symbol and the circle. So stand behind the circle and look through it to see the symbol, and as you can see, when you do it properly, it will then like disappear, and essentially that means you've made the connection between those 2 areas. So once you do it for one area, you need to head to the other of the 3 areas you need, stand inside that green circle, kill another knight from inside the circle. That'll spawn, the viewing window. You just line up the viewing window to connect another thing, and then finally, you're going to do that one more time with the 3rd area you need. Now, once you've completed all 3 viewing window connections, then there's now going to be a hive symbol floating above each one of those 3 areas, again, when all 3 are done. Then you need to go and kill 3 different Lucent hives. There's 1 wizard, 1 knight, and 1 hunter. Now, importantly, guys, these are found through like 3 doorways, 3 offshoots leading away from the main area here. So as you can see, I'm going through one of them right here, and then you traverse through underwater. There's no bubbles here. You just have to make the journey all in one go. And when you get through to the other side, you have some ads, you have your Lucent Wizard, and then you also have a symbol. Make sure to look at the symbol. Many a times you get distracted, you get the quick kill, but as soon as you kill your Lucent Hive, the symbol, the Hive Ruin, will disappear. So make a note of your Hive Ruin symbol before you get that Lucent Hive kill. Now, you can either go to each one of these as a team if you're having trouble killing these guys, but for us, and what is going to make it a lot quicker, is if you split up. One person goes in each one of these areas and is able to kill their own Lucent Hive. Now, what's going to make that a lot easier is the Supremacy Snipe Rifle, or frankly, any good snipe rifle. All of these areas, you can actually put a lot of distance between you and the Lucent Hive. You can kind of stay in the back, you know, behind a rock somewhere and pick these Lucent Hives down with a snipe rifle, especially something as good as the Supremacy. No problem, you know, kill the ads as well, probably kill them first, and then just run up and get that finisher. And you can see that in the background gameplay, like it is very easy to do with the help of a good sniper. And the sniper will also help you against the boss if you run out of ammo. We'll talk about that in a sec. Now, when you get your finisher on the Lucent Hive, then you're going to see another buff appear in the top of your screen. It's going to be Vestige of whatever you killed. So I killed the wizard, it says Vestige of a Wizard, and then what I need to do is get back into that main arena. I need to go and activate Deep Sight one more time. Remember, for this encounter, activating Deep Sight activates it for everyone. So everyone is going to get the effects of this. When you activate Deep Sight, you're then able to interact with the correct symbol that you see around this main arena. So I went and I saw the symbol when I killed the wizard. I go to that same symbol that's glowing in the air. I interact with it, as you can see. And if you've done it correctly, you won't die. You'll know if you've done it incorrectly, let me just say. Now, importantly, guys, the last person to do this is where DPS is going to start. So use that to your advantage. You really, if you can, want to DPS from up here on his head. Now, in the past, you were DPSing from his chest in the very middle, and his chest is almost always, or I think it actually is always involved in these like connections you're making. But now after the nerfs to Well, it might be a bit sketchier. However, if you do have a Titan with a Stormscape barricade and you're behind that, you could probably get away with it. But hey, we had our best DPS phase from up on his head. Wherever you want to DPS from kind of doesn't matter, but again, deposit there last, because that is where then, as you can see, when you make that final deposit, you have that green goop appear and you can start damaging the boss. Again, you're going to lower their immunity shield with the first bit of damage, and then you're going to start tearing into them. Now, this boss is not going to be stationary. In fact, they will teleport all around the darn map. And so that's why for DPS, we found that the Queenbreaker was unbelievably effective. You can see in the background gameplay, we genuinely like almost got the one phase. The one phase might actually be possible with the Queenbreaker. Like, that's how much damage it did. It was crazy damage. Now, that's partially because the Queenbreaker is unbelievably good, partially because we're able to supplement that damage with a Titan Stormscape barricade. Now we've got additional lightning bolts as damage, and additionally, guys, really make sure to take advantage of the Particle Reconstruction Seasonal Artifact perk. That is going to bring the weaken effect. So it's really hard to get a weaken effect on this boss, because like, what are you going to do? Tether it and then it teleports somewhere else and then your tether is ruined. So the fact that you can get the weaken effect from just shooting this boss with your linear, you really want to take advantage of that. So if you don't have the Queenbreaker, Sleeper Simulant, any of the legendary linears, like any of that stuff would be phenomenal here. And again, we had massive success with the Queenbreaker for just how much damage we were able to do. Now, if you're not able to get the one phase, guys, don't worry, you're just gonna do the exact same process again. So get that deep sight, see the 3 connections, the 3 areas you need to activate, stand there and kill those knights to get the viewing windows, activate all 3 viewing windows, and then go off into the 3 offshoots and get the vestiges from the Lucent hive, come back, plant them, and do another DPS phase. And so guys, there you have it. Good luck with getting those gold ratings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.